I was 7 months pregnant, standing on my doorstep with my suitcase, while my husband's mistress smirked from my bedroom window. The entire neighborhood watched as my mother-in-law called me worthless. But then, 2 white Rolls-Royces pulled up, and everyone's faces went pale. That day changed everything. If you love stories where the underdog gets ultimate revenge and karma hits hard, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because what happens next will leave you speechless. Trust me, you'll want to see how this ends. 3 years ago, I thought I'd found my fairy tale. Brandon Montgomery swept me off my feet when I was working as a waitress at this fancy restaurant downtown. He was handsome, charming, and came from old money, the kind of family that had their name on hospital wings and museum plaques. When he proposed after just 6 months, I couldn't believe someone like him wanted someone like me. His mother, Patricia, wasn't thrilled. I'll never forget our first meeting. She looked at my dress, my shoes, my hair, and I could see her judging my worth. It wasn't much in her eyes. But Brandon insisted he loved me. And eventually she gave us her blessing, or at least that's what I thought at the time. We got married in this gorgeous ceremony at their huge estate. I moved into the Montgomery mansion, this massive property with perfect gardens and more rooms than I could count. The neighbors were all super rich, the kind of people who drove expensive cars and took vacations to places I'd only seen in magazines. They were polite to me, included me in their garden parties and charity events. I helped organize fundraisers, baked cookies for the neighborhood kids, and tried my best to fit into this world that felt so foreign. For a while, everything seemed perfect. Brandon was sweet, Patricia was civil, and I felt like maybe, just maybe, I'd actually made it. Then I got pregnant. I was so excited. I thought a baby would bring us even closer, make me a real part of the Montgomery family. I decorated the nursery myself, painted it soft cream, and put up these beautiful cloud decals. I'd spend hours in there, imagining what our baby would look like, planning our future. But around my 5th month, things started to change. Brandon began working late, really late. He'd come home after midnight, sometimes not at all. When I asked about it, he'd get angry. "The business is struggling, Allison. I'm trying to keep us afloat." His phone was always buzzing, and he'd leave the room to take calls. I tried not to be suspicious, I tried to trust him, but something in my gut kept telling me something was wrong. Then Vanessa showed up. Patricia introduced her at a family dinner as Brandon's old college friend who just moved back to town. She was beautiful in that perfect way, designer clothes, perfect hair, the kind of confidence that comes from never worrying about money. She sat across from Brandon, and I watched them laugh about old times, inside jokes I wasn't part of. Patricia looked at her like she was the daughter she'd always wanted. After that, Vanessa was everywhere. She'd drop by the house without warning. She'd be at every family event. Patricia would invite her without telling me. I'd come downstairs for breakfast and find Vanessa already there, drinking coffee in my kitchen like she owned the place. And the way she looked at Brandon, the way she touched his arm when she talked, it made my stomach turn. I tried talking to Brandon about it. I told him it made me uncomfortable. He laughed it off. "You're being paranoid, ally. Vanessa is just a friend. You're letting your pregnancy hormones make you jealous." Patricia backed him up, saying I was being insecure and that I should be grateful Vanessa was even willing to be friends with someone from my background. That comment hurt, but I swallowed it, like I'd swallowed so many of her little insults over the years. Then one day, I found a diamond bracelet in Brandon's car. It was gorgeous, delicate, with a small V engraved on the clasp. It wasn't mine. When I confronted him, he barely looked up from his laptop. "It's for a client's wife. I'm supposed to give it to her tomorrow." His voice was so casual. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him so badly. But the next week, I saw Vanessa wearing that exact bracelet at a charity lunch. She caught me staring and smiled, this cold, knowing smile that made my blood run cold. I felt like I was going crazy. Everyone around me acted like everything was normal, but I could feel the ground falling apart beneath my feet. I decided I needed to know the truth. One afternoon, when Brandon was supposedly at work and Patricia had left for her country club, I went looking for answers. I wasn't trying to spy, I just needed proof I wasn't losing my mind. That's when I heard voices from the study. I recognized Patricia's sharp tone and Vanessa's light laugh. I stopped outside the door, my heart pounding. Patricia was saying, "Once she's gone, you'll marry Brandon properly. Your father's company merger will save Montgomery Industries, and we'll all be much better off." Vanessa answered, "I can't wait to redecorate this place. Her taste is so cheap. Though this pregnancy does complicate things." Patricia sighed. "We'll deal with that after the baby comes. DNA test, quick divorce, and then we move forward." I must have gasped, because suddenly the room went silent. The door swung open, and there they were, Patricia and Vanessa, staring at me like I was the intruder in my own home. Patricia's face went cold. "Well," she said, straightening her pearls, "I suppose this saves us the trouble of explaining." I couldn't breathe. "What are you talking about? What plan?" Vanessa crossed her arms, all fake sweetness gone. "Oh, please don't play dumb. You had to know this was coming." Before I could answer, Brandon walked in. I turned to him, tears already falling. "Tell me this isn't true. Tell me you're not planning to leave me for her." He wouldn't look at me. He just stared at the floor like a coward. That's when I knew everything I feared was real. Patricia stepped forward, voice ice cold. "My son deserves better than a nobody orphan who trapped him with a pregnancy. You were a mistake from the beginning." "I'm not an orphan," I said, voice shaking. "I have brothers. They'll help me." Patricia actually laughed. "Oh, please. We had you investigated. 2 brothers who disappeared years ago. They're probably dead or in prison. You have no one, Allison. You've always had no one." That was the moment I realized I'd been living in a lie. These people never loved me. I was just something they'd put up with. And now they were throwing me away. The next day, everything exploded. It was a bright sunny afternoon. I was in the nursery trying to process everything when Patricia barged in with 2 servants. "Pack her things," she ordered. "I want her out within the hour." I stared at her. "You're kicking me out? I'm carrying your grandchild." Patricia's face was stone. "We'll do a DNA test after the baby is born. Until then, you're not welcome here." The servants wouldn't look at me as they started throwing my clothes into suitcases. I tried to stop them, but Patricia grabbed my arm. "Don't make this harder than it has to be. You should have known better than to reach above your place." I pulled away and ran downstairs looking for Brandon. I found him in the living room with Vanessa, looking at wedding magazines. "Wedding magazines?" "Brandon, please," I begged. "Don't let her do this. I'm your wife. This is our baby." He finally looked at me, eyes empty. "I'm sorry, Allison, but Vanessa and we make sense. We're from the same world. You were a nice distraction, but it's time to face reality." Those words broke me. Within minutes, my suitcases were thrown onto the front lawn. I stumbled outside, and the entire neighborhood was watching. Mrs. Henderson stopped watering her garden. Mr. Cooper stopped his car in the street. Teenagers playing basketball froze. Everyone was staring at me being thrown out of my own home. Patricia followed me outside and made sure her voice carried. "This woman trapped my son with a pregnancy. She came from nothing, a waitress, trying to get her hands on our money. Well, we've seen through her lies." The neighbors gasped and whispered. Then Vanessa appeared on the porch, clinging to Brandon's arm. "Brandon and I have been in love for years," she announced. "We're finally free to be together." Patricia kept going. "We gave her everything, clothes, jewelry, a home she could never afford. And this is how she repays us, by trying to trap my son with a baby that might not even be his." Some neighbors had their phones out recording. A teenage boy was filming everything. I tried to speak, but my voice was weak. "I loved him. I thought we were happy." Brandon spoke up one last time. "I'm sorry, Allison, but you were never going to fit in here." "Not really." Vanessa smirked. You can keep those cheap clothes. We'll buy everything new. I sat down on my suitcase on the curb and cried. I had no money, no car, no one to call. I was completely alone. The only person who helped was old Mr. Wilson from down the street. He walked over slowly with his cane and handed me a bottle of water. Use my phone, dear, he said softly. Call whoever you need. His kindness made me cry harder. I took his phone with shaking hands and dialed a number I hadn't called in 3 years. My brother Gabriel answered on the first ring. Ally, is that you? I could barely speak. Gabriel, they threw me out. I'm pregnant and they threw me out on the street. Please. I need help. Stay exactly where you are, he said, voice like steel. We're coming. Don't move. I sat on that curb for 15 minutes, neighbors staring, Patricia looking victorious. Then I heard powerful engines. 2 pristine white Rolls-Royce Phantoms turned onto the street. Custom pearl white paint, gold trim, each worth more than $500,000. They stopped right in front of the house, and the whole street went dead silent. The first door opened, and Gabriel stepped out. My oldest brother, tall, in a perfect gray suit, looking like he walked off the cover of Forbes. The second car opened, and Lucas stepped out, just as powerful in a burgundy suit. They saw me, 7 months pregnant, crying on the curb, and their faces turned to stone. Gabriel knelt down right there, not caring about his expensive suit. Ally, he said gently, taking my hands. We're here now. You're safe. Lucas stood behind him, eyes scanning the crowd. Who did this to you? The neighbors started whispering like crazy. Mrs. Henderson gasped. Do you know how much those cars cost? Gabriel helped me stand while Lucas grabbed my suitcases like they weighed nothing. They turned to the mansion. Patricia's smile was fading fast. Brandon looked confused. Vanessa's smirk disappeared. Gabriel's voice rang out, loud and clear. I'm Gabriel Chen, CEO of Chen Technologies. The crowd gasped. Lucas stepped forward. Lucas Chen, CFO of Chen Technologies. We're Allison's brothers. Patricia stammered. But, she said, we investigated. You were supposed to be. Gabriel smiled coldly. Dead? In prison? Is that what you told yourselves to feel better? Then he looked at everyone watching. Let me make this very clear. Our sister is worth more than your entire family's money combined. Lucas pulled out his phone. Let me tell you all who these people really are, he said to the crowd. Patricia Montgomery, your family business is $15 million in debt. You're about to go bankrupt. Patricia went red. That's private. You have no right. Gabriel cut her off. I own your debt. As of 1 hour ago, I bought every loan, every mortgage, every bill your family has. This house? Mine. Your company? Mine. Everything you think you own is mine now. Patricia's face lost all color. Lucas turned to Vanessa. And you, Vanessa Sterling, should we talk about your 3 previous engagements? All to rich older men, all dumped when you found a better target? He showed photos on a tablet to the crowd, pictures of Vanessa with different wealthy men. You're not in love. You're a professional gold digger. Vanessa went white. That's slander. I'll sue. Gabriel laughed. Please do. I have 50 lawyers who would love the practice. Then Lucas dropped the biggest bomb. Here's the best part. Vanessa Sterling is already married. To a businessman in Dubai. Still legally married. He showed the marriage certificate. The crowd exploded in gasps. This whole wedding plan? Illegal. Fraud. In the distance, sirens. Lucas smiled. Oh, that's the police. I called them about the marriage fraud. They're very interested in talking to you, Vanessa. Police cars pulled up. News vans arrived right after. The quiet street turned into chaos. Patricia tried to go inside the house. Gabriel blocked her. That's my house now. Foreclosed 20 minutes ago. You're trespassing. Brandon finally spoke. You can't do this. We'll fight in court. Lucas showed another document. Your mortgage? I own it. Your business loans? I own them. Your country club membership? Cancelled. Your credit cards? Cancelled. Your bank accounts? Frozen. You have nothing, Brandon. Just like you tried to leave our sister with nothing. I watched police question Vanessa as she cried. Cameras filmed Patricia screaming about injustice. Brandon stood alone on the lawn, finally looking scared. The neighbors who judged me now saw the truth. Mrs. Henderson came over, ashamed. Allison, I'm so sorry. We didn't know. Gabriel put his arm around me. My sister doesn't need apologies from people who judge first. Come on, ally. Let's go. They led me to one of the Rolls Royces. I sank into the leather seats. As we drove away, I looked back one last time. Patricia arguing with police. Vanessa in the back of a police car. Brandon alone on the lawn, regret all over his face. But it was too late. The next few weeks were a blur. My brothers put me in a 5-star hotel, got me the best doctors. Their lawyers destroyed Brandon in court. DNA proved the baby was his. Full custody to me. $50,000 a month child support. The judge told Brandon coldly. Figure it out. Montgomery Industries went bankrupt. Patricia lost everything and ended up cleaning houses, the same job she always looked down on. Vanessa went to prison for fraud. 3 months later, I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. I named her Hope. Gabriel and Lucas cried holding their tiny niece. They helped me start my own business, a company that helps women escape bad situations and rebuild their lives. 6 months later, I was in Forbes magazine, not as someone's wife, but as Allison Chin, successful businesswoman. 1 year later, I was having lunch with Hope when I saw Brandon through the window. He was wearing a delivery uniform, carrying food bags, looking tired and broken. Our eyes met. I saw regret, shame, everything he lost. He threw away a woman who truly loved him, a daughter who would have adored him, for lies and greed. Now he had nothing. I looked at my happy, healthy daughter. I looked at my successful, meaningful life. Then I looked back at Brandon one last time. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel pain. I felt peace, and maybe a little pity. I smiled at Hope, gathered our things, and walked out without looking back. That chapter was closed. I learned the hardest way that sometimes the family you're born with is the one that saves you. Blood doesn't decide your worth. Character does. They thought I was nothing because I came from nothing. But real family shows up when you're broken. Brandon, Patricia, Vanessa, they chose greed over love. Now they have nothing. And I have everything that matters. If this story showed you that karma is real and real family always wins, smash that like button right now. Drop a comment, would you have forgiven Brandon if he begged? And hit subscribe, because I've got more stories of revenge, justice, and people getting exactly what they deserve. Remember, treat people right, because you never know who their family is. See you in the next one.